Hey friends, I want to render some beef fat. I'm going to set this up for that. Let's talk about that last video. So first of all, I was trying to do a broth that was incredibly concentrated, and it was incredibly concentrated, but you should not use that many pork trotters. Pork trotters are very potent, and you don't need 10 pounds of them for that amount of broth. You only need probably 2 of them. So first of all, I would not use that many trotters. The other thing too that I wanted to talk about is, I didn't actually say what the aromatics were supposed to be. So here's what the aromatics are supposed to be. They're supposed to be some onions, the ends of some green onions, garlic, ginger, and if you want to get a little bit fancy, zest some citrus in there. But be careful with the citrus, because if you aren't careful with the citrus, it's going to be pretty bitter. So that's the aromatics. Now, here's the thing about pork trotters and about cooking on the internet in general, I suppose. If you're watching somebody cook on the internet, the only thing that you get to do is you get to watch. It's not the same immersive experience as actually cooking is. And here's the thing. Pork trotters are particularly susceptible to this thing called boar taint. Boar taint is a buildup of several hormones in the fat tissue of uncastrated male pigs, and it seems to affect trotters a little bit more than other things. I mean, it makes sense. The trotters have tons of fat and cartilage in them. You know, if it's a buildup in the fat, okay, it's fine. But when I was cooking these things down, the smell was, I mean, honestly horrific for the first 10 hours or so. My house smelled like a stable. I thought I had just gotten some bad meat or something. I wound up calling some of my friends who are proficient at food things, and I was reassured that it's okay, you'll be fine. Just to get rid of it, you have to aggressively skim the fat out of the broth. It takes some effort, but I mean, eventually it was good. You know, I got enough of it out, and it turned out fine. The amount of trotters that I used, I'm sure affected this as well. Used so many, it was just more. There's just more of it. If you had only used 2, I think you'd be better off. If you didn't want to deal with that at all, if you didn't want to deal with the trotters, what I would recommend you do is, next time you buy some ribs or, pork chops or just something that has pork bones in it, and save those bones and then just throw those in a pressure cooker, do the same sort of thing. You don't have to use the trotters, okay, fine. Now, why would I recommend that you still do use trotters? Well, this is why. They're $1.09 a pound, and you need 2 of them. And there is no competitor, as far as I can tell, for pork bones that will make a better stock broth. And they're super, super cheap, right? The point of what I'm trying to do here is show people how to cook for themselves and their friends and their family and their communities as cheaply as possible. And this is where I'm going to go full communist on them. At this point in human history, we make 150% of what we would need to feed everyone on the planet. Like, as the human race, we make 150% of what we need right now. And yet, millions of people go hungry. Okay, well, why? Why do millions of people go hungry? Part of it is individual things, like food waste or whatever, but it's systemic. It's not just individual. The system is messed up, not just individual actions. Individualistic or individual-centered solutions aren't enough to fix a systemic problem. If you're pissing on your leg, change the direction. We'll see if I wind up using that. I'm trying to figure out other ways to say that as well. I don't know how. We'll think about it. I'll try to put some in the end, maybe. What's this? So, anyway, okay, the ramen presentation I used this time was chashu, which is just a braised pork marinated in soy sauce. I had nori in there, sesame seeds, black garlic oil, some chili oil, and then kind of one of my little riffs on elotes, which is just like a Mexican corn thing. If you're looking to do something like that, use corn and maybe some sour cream and mayonnaise, and then some sort of salty, crumbly cheese. To my Bulgarian friends, your feta would work perfectly. You could do that kind of recipe with tons of other things as well. Those are just the flavor combinations I thought of for that particular time. Feel free to experiment, play with that however you want to. Have fun with it. I think that's about all I had to say, so I'll see you next time, friends. See ya.